Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Bag is Back podcast. We don't have cool drinks, so we can't really cheers. But
water is cool.
Water is fine.
It's halal.
Toast to you. Yeah, it's halal. Toast to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
In your very, very busy schedule. So we have Iman here with us today, and and before we get started, what we always do on Bag is Bag, we would play 3 or 5 rounds of categories, and it's just a game where we go back and forth mentioning examples of a category until someone snoozes, and we have a winner. So we have 5 rounds, so there has to be a winner, and the winner has bragging rights, or both of us organize events, so the winner gets free tickets to yeah.
I'm gonna have to explain to Rika.
It'll be like you lost a bet in a podcast.
You know what? The game is the game, man.
The game is the game.
They'll be fine.
All right, so we'll take rounds, go at each other.
If I pick the card, do I start?
Yeah, you start. So whoever picks the card starts.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll go first, and then
Okay.
I'll give this a good shuffle. And wow, this one is so apt for both of us.
Oh dear.
Are you ready?
Okay, hit me.
The category is speaker brands.
What?
we should know this. We're both DJs, and so are you ready?
I guess.
Okay. The category is speaker brands.
Okay.
JBL.
Bose.
Sony.
Damn. Yeah.
Damn,
I was gonna say Sony. Why? And the Yorkville. Yorkville.
Oh, no, is
it done? Is it done? Damn. Yeah.
So yeah, 1-0.
I'm a bad DJ. Okay. Hopefully something
good. I mean, if you don't like it, you can switch it out.
No, I'm gonna lose this for sure. Okay, the category is action movies. Merry Men, Yoruba Demons.
Action Man.
Spider-Man.
Marvel Avengers.
Which one?
1, 2, 3.
That doesn't.
Endgame.
Okay. You know what? Fight Club. Does Fight Club count? I guess Fight Club is kind of action.
We kind of slowed the tempo, so okay, I lose that one. So 1-1.
So you're like, which Avengers? There's so many. Okay, your turn.
Okay, let's see. Let me pick one from the middle here.
Oh dear.
This one is probably going to be hard.
Oh no.
But if you live in Canada, maybe, you know. The category is dietary supplements.
Ozempic.
No way. Wait, is it a supplement? I mean,
oh no, it's not a supplement, but I guess
I don't even know. Well, I mean,
you're supposed to start technically.
Yeah. But, okay, dietary supplements: vitamin D,
vitamin C,
omega-3,
zinc,
ashwagandha,
magnesium,
vitamin K,
vitamin B12,
vitamin B6,
iron,
magnesium.
I said magnesium.
I use magnesium to sleep every day. So.
I have PCOS, so this one was good for me.
Okay. 2-1. Maybe we should let's maybe add more
one?
cards.
Okay.
Okay. So we have 2 more rounds.
Okay.
Till the winner emerges.
Let me pick one from the middle. The category is modes of transportation. Car.
Ocean.
Yeah,
ship.
You mean boats?
I mean, it's like people. You know, it's like.
You know what? No one wins that one. I'm gonna give you another one. Ice cream flavors: chocolate,
blueberry,
cookie dough,
pistachio,
raspberry,
What's the one that tastes like coffee? Oh my god.
Espresso.
Espresso. Oh my god. So I just came back from Italy and I had a lot of. I mean, they call it gelato there, but it's pretty much ice cream. And I cannot because I had a lot of flavors.
So you're just like, I'm blocking that out of my mind.
Okay. So that's 3-1. Wow. Well, you already won, kinda, but
no, we'll do that one.
We'll do one more. No, I don't like this one. Okay, the category is vampire movies or TV shows.
Oh dear. Okay.
Originals.
Twilight.
Vampire Diaries.
True Blood.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
My Babysitter's a Vampire. It's a Disney show.
That was all I had. Wow.
Damn, 4-1?
4-1. Whoa.
Wow. So I
Wow.
guess I'm going to your next event for free.
Yeah. So Iman is getting a free ticket to the next Uncles of Toronto event.
As long as it's before December 25th.
Oh yeah. I mean, December 6th. So
Okay, yeah, I should.
hopefully
be
this episode is out by then. But it should be. All right.
Okay.
Let's get into the pod. We have Iman here with us, who just won a round of categories. She was initially nervous to play it, but she wins, so
Yay.
she has bragging rights and a free ticket. But as we get into the pod, I want you to give us a brief intro into who you are and what is your bag.
Okay, so my name is Iman. Some of you may know me as Sudaneeya. Actually, most people know me as Sudaneeya
Yeah.
because who's Iman?
We
Who's
need
that?
to find out how that name came about.
Oh, that's actually very funny. It just happened very organically. But
yeah.
I am a Sudanese multidisciplinary creative based in Toronto. I've been kind of curating events since 2017 and doing photography since 2018. And I got into DJing end of 2019, early 2020 during the pandemic. And yeah.
So you're multidisciplinary creative. What are the creative endeavors you have under your bucket, under your umbrella?
So I guess the big two are DJing and photography. Those are kind of the two that have really taken off over the last few years.
Oh yeah.
I did do a little bit of writing at some points. I've kind of fell off of that a little bit. I'm also a curator. I forgot to mention that. Like I do like event curation from parties to exhibits to workshops to just community oriented events to kind of like bring people together.
Oh, sweet. How did you, starting with the one that you dropped first, which is writing, how did you get into writing and why did you stop?
I just really liked writing ever since I was a kid. Like journaling was like a thing. Like I had a diary. I would always write into my diary. I had a songwriting phase in middle school, which is very embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was like a thing. And then I started writing like poetry into like university. It was just like kind of like a good outlet, like especially because around like 2019, that's when the revolution in Sudan happened. And that was just kind of like my outlet to help me process. And during the pandemic, like that was kind of like also like an outlet to just help me process like everything that was kind of happening during lockdown. And I don't know why I dropped it per se. I guess I just became more invested in my other creative endeavors because around COVID, I also really got into DJing.
Oh, so you started DJing.
Like I started DJing end of 2019. So the way that kind of came about was my friends had this radio show in Regent Park called Support Your Local Collective. And they were kind of just not necessarily terminating their residency, but they were kind of ready to move on. And at that time, I was running a collective called Diaspora Express with 2 other girls. Yeah. And we had appeared on their show once a month. And at that point, they were looking for new people to take over. So they kind of offered the spot to us. And the way that their show was set up was It was two hosts, but one of the guys would like DJ. So it would be like 20 minutes of music and then an interview and then another 30 minutes of music, etc.
Okay.
But it was always like centered around like music and interviews. And I kind of wanted to take on the music part of it because I've like always been very musically inclined. Like I used to play the keyboard, I used to sing, like I've always really, really loved music. I love curating playlists. So that was kind of something that I decided to take on. So my friend, shout out Martin, he taught me how to DJ. Like I used to go to his place in Scarborough.
Martin says?
No.
Oh.
Darth Martian. I call him Asian Martin. But
Okay.
because there's Martin Says, Nigerian Martin, and then Asian Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, so he taught me how to DJ. Like I used to go to his place in Scarborough every weekend and he would teach me, and I eventually just bought my own controller. And then that radio show was kind of how I got into DJing. But then when COVID happened, we obviously couldn't go into the studio anymore. So the way to kind of keep the radio show / podcast alive was we started, aside from recording episodes on Zoom, I started releasing mixes. And that's how I really kind of just got into it. And I started listening to like different radio shows on SoundCloud. Selection was the one that stood out to me the most. Like they're an inspiration to me until this day. And then, like that's how I started DJing. I didn't start doing events really, or not as prominently until 2022, 2023.
What would you say was the key factor, key learning points in learning how to DJ? I'll give you an example. For me, someone told me I should just count beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. What was that for you? What made it stick? What made you understand it?
Yeah, it was the beat matching. So basically what Martin used to do is he would have, because I initially learned on Serato, I didn't learn on CDJs.
Oh yeah.
So he would have the same song, and he would have the first song on a loop, like just the beginning of it. He'd have it on a 4-beat loop.
Yeah.
And he would be like, okay, match. He'd have like on one side it would be the original BPM, and then on the other side he would change it or whatever, and he'd be like, okay, match the BPMs and always find the one, like the first beat, and integrates the song in that way. So that was the most fundamental thing to me. And once I mastered that, then I kind of got into like learning different effects, learning how to mix with key. And this was like a time before Serato stems was a thing. Kind of just like learning about that. Like, even I was listening back to my old mixes the other day and I was like, oh, this would have sounded really fire if Serato stems had existed. But I was kind of happy it didn't, because it really forced me to kind of train my ear. And now when I do club gigs, because at the club, like, it's with club equipment, it is a little bit more difficult to use your laptop. There is a way to do it, but it's just like, it's a lot.
The connections are a lot. Like, you have to bring a lot of cables.
And it doesn't work every single time. So I've just, playing on a USB forces you to train your ear. So that was kind of like my next adventure, which I started doing in 2022 with like a few appearances on ISO radio, and now with spaces like Estrelar that exist where you can kind of just go and practice on CDJs. Like, that's when I was like, okay, I'm confident enough to start doing events at clubs, curating my own stuff. And
So you mentioned, your training part was first you already knew how to create music, then you learned beat matching, and then you had to train your ear. Is there any other beats or piece that you are missing in terms of what made you solidify your training as a DJ?
I think the biggest thing is digging for music, because when I initially started,
digging through your library. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, like digging through my library, but I also find like a lot of stuff on SoundCloud, because I now play like a lot of edits. I don't like really play original songs as much anymore, and I feel like edits, remixes, and flips is a very creative way to introduce people to like different music. And I think now we even see like Amapiano remixes of everything. Is like a cool way to kind of introduce people to the genre with like a familiar song.
Smart.
So that's like kind of something that I've been doing a lot of. And that's when that's something that I really enjoyed, because I was like, oh, like, this is so cool. Like, I wouldn't think that like these two songs would like mesh together really well, or like hearing a drum and bass version of like a really old school R&B song. I was like, oh, like, I never had reimagined this song this way, and that's just, it was just something that amazed me. So that was like the biggest thing. So like digging for music is like honestly my favorite part of the process.
Oh yeah, so you just search different sources for different music, different mixes. Do you keep track of what is being released like very frequently?
I mostly tapped into like what's happening in the Nigerian music scene. So I'm very like tapped into when Afrobeats artists drop something. I am sometimes tapped into like top 40 and hip hop and things like that, but it's just, I don't know, like I feel like the quality of music in mainstream music has severely declined.
Oh yeah, why do you feel so? What part of the quality has declined? Is it the lyrics, the beats,
I would say
the melody or the instrumentals, or
the beats and the instrumentals are not bad, but it's just the lyrics and what people are rapping about, singing about, and also the story. Like there isn't really like a story being told. Like it's not, you don't feel something as much anymore. And I feel that like also like a lot of labels are just pressuring their artists to make TikTok bops.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and that's, you can see how much of an effect that's had on the music industry all over the world. Really, like not even just in America. Like I'm seeing it spill over into like the African music scene, how like you look at certain, this is controversial, don't shoot me, but like I'm looking at like maybe like Wizkid, Davido, like their old discography in comparison to now. As much as I love their new music, I think the quality has gone down significantly. Like I think like the production back then was better, there was more heart, there was more soul, everybody had their own sound. But now everybody's just looking at what's trendy and what would make them money and what would sell and what would be recognized in the mainstream, and just do that.
So for you now, DJing, what do you typically always want to focus on? Because I learned that is the DJ that curates what people should actually listen to. Like we guide the audience into what they should listen to. What do you want to guide the audience to listen to? For me, when I DJ, I love Nigerian music so much, and I like the music from the past, like the older
old school
music.
Nigerian.
I like all the drums and kicks and how maybe the melodies, and so I want people to listen to that. And you also mentioned that how you introduce people to a genre is through mixes. For you, what do you always want the audience to listen to? Where do you mostly guide the audience to?
I think usually, because like for me, my sound is like, it's so eclectic. Like I play so many different genres, but the common theme is that like it's always Black music. So different genres of music across the African and Caribbean diasporas. That's kind of where my starting point is. And I kind of want to expose people to not just what they hear on the radio. Like I really want people to kind of like open their minds to like new sounds and things like that. Like I've been trying to play Sudanese music at gigs more. And really just kind of like expose people to the music and the culture, and just like evoke a feeling, like I feel like music it's literally energy. And I think that you can really, like when I'm at the DJ booth, like I feel like I'm a puppet master of a party, and I can really control people's energy based on the type of music that I'm playing. But I think also the setting in which you play the music matters.
What settings do you always find yourself DJing at?
I think like I thrive the best when an event is intentionally curated, where you can kind of see that like everyone that's involved behind the scenes is doing this because they love it, not because they're trying to just make a quick buck. And it spills over to how the event is executed. Like you guys, for example, like the way you guys market your events, the way like the DJs that you book, like it's an actual sonic experience. Like you don't just throw a bunch of random DJs on a lineup and pick a random bar and just throw everybody in there. There's a lot more intentionality to it. And for me personally, like we've been shifting away from mainstream bars and clubs because there's this heavy push on bottle service and just getting people like very shit-faced. and it creates kind of an unsafe environment. So I think like especially with like where people stay at, which is run by me and another woman named Rika/Lasap, like we want to create a space where like women and queer people feel safe, especially Black women and queer people. And so besides focusing on Black music, you know, we want to create an environment that's not so heavily pushed on people getting drunk. So we make bar sales, you know, it's kind of more so on creating this very warm environment. And then when we book the DJs, we're like, okay, this DJ would sound awesome with this DJ. Their sounds are kind of different, but there's similarities. And you kind of go from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So from what I hear from you is curated events fare better for the audience. It's better to have a well put together event, curated for not a particular set of people, but just be intentional about what you're doing. Have a goal per se.
Yeah, like what do you want? Like what do you want people to walk away with? At the end of the night, like I feel like for me, the biggest like piece of feedback that I've gotten from the events that I've curated is that friendships have been formed, relationships have been formed, like people have gotten together at my parties and like have had like one of my friends is on the verge of getting engaged and they met at where people stay at events. Like
come for where people stay at.
Literally, you will find
where
love.
People stay at.
Where people find love, even though the streets in Toronto are very anxiety inducing, but like it's even like beyond that, like friendships are actually formed. Like I say, it's so cute when I like meet new people who like just saw this party on Instagram and came and they enjoyed themselves and we had now become friends. Like even the way Rika and I met, we met at an Everyday People party. And I love the way that they curate their events because they're so loud about being for Black people and showcasing Black music. And it feels like one big family reunion. And there's I'm not going to name names, but there's some events where I've gone to where it's just, you don't get that feeling where you kind of walk in and I can just tell that the people just wanted to make a quick buck.
Yeah, the customer experience is not nice. Like you face shit at the door. You enter, maybe the bar staff are not like
they're not nice.
The sound is not good. You just tell that the DJ set and lineup is disorganized. I feel you. It's
very like random. It's not really curated. And there's some parties I go to, big parties, like really well-known name parties that I've gone to, where I'm hearing the same songs over and over and over again. Like
no coordination with the DJ.
Yeah, it's just like, why am I hearing last 17 times? I love Burna Boy Down, but like there's just only so many times I can hear that song, you know? And it's like one or two repeats, fine. But it's like if I've come for 5 hours and you have 5 DJs on a lineup and every single DJ has played Last, has played City Boys, has played Lonely at the Top, like just the big like the big hits, and hasn't really like focused on actually curating an experience and just blending the music well and just relying on people being shit-faced. It kind of takes that away, you know?
Yeah, one feedback I've gotten from our event, and it's actually incorporating what you're saying, and that's why I feel like we see eye to eye on this type of things. And I haven't actually faced any like shit experience coming to your event. But one feedback I hear when people come for our events is that for the music lineup, it feels like a continuous playlist. Like it doesn't stop. And that's how it should feel. I was speaking with Martin and he said that the reason why people enjoy like EDM music when you go for the concert, because it feels like one long song. And so they're just in the same vibe throughout the night.
It can be very repetitive though. That's my thing with like EDM or like house in general, like parties that are just specifically one genre. I can't do it.
Or you like, want to do different.
I've never like, I love Angel and them down, but I've never gone to I'm a Problem because I cannot do I'm a Piano for 4 straight hours. course. And that's any genre. Like, it's not even a diss to Amapiano.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just like if it's just hip hop all night, I can't do it. If it's just Afrobeats all night, I can't do it. Like, I need the range. And that's really influenced my DJing. Like, I'm a very eclectic and chaotic DJ. Anytime anyone asks me, what are you going to play? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Like, and I go in there and I love mixing different genres. Like, I will mix Afro beats with like R&B and it'll work. And I think it takes a certain level of skill to be able to do that.
Have you always done that you don't sort of prepare for gigs, or you don't create like a set playlist for gig, you just go and move with the vibe? Is that how it has always been, probably right from when you started? Because for me, it's like when I got comfortable with that.
That was I mean, when I first started doing CDJs, I used to have the set list as my wallpaper on my phone because I hadn't fully like mastered like hopping between playlist to playlist, and I hadn't fully mastered the technical abilities yet. And I would just play the song exactly, the music exactly how I practiced it, which is not good. You should not do that. Because
why though?
Because you have to study your audience. So let's say I curate a full set and I come and the DJ before me has played, let's say like I'm doing an hour set, that's about like 25 to 40 songs depending on like how long you let the song play. And the DJ has done 15 out of the 25 to 40 songs. And you're up right after them. And all you've done is practice these 25 to 40 songs. And you go and you're just repeating the other person's set. Like, you want to avoid song repetition as much as possible. But let's say that, like, let's take that out of the equation. Let's say you've prepared the set from top to bottom and you go and you play and the audience hates it and people start leaving because that's not their crowd. So the big thing that I do when I'm playing a party is I do my research. Like, I go on their Instagram page, I look at the audience, I look at the clientele. If I'm friends with DJs that have played that event, or even just like acquainted enough, I DM them and be like, hey, I saw you played this event. What was your experience like? What was the audience like? Do you have any tips? And if it comes to it, I will ask the person or the curator or the client straight up, like, what are you looking for? And then from there, I start to build my set lists. And then when I'm DJing, I always have like at least like 50 to 60 songs per event. And because I've played so many events and a lot of them are kind of similar, I can kind of hop from playlist to playlist.
Oh, yeah.
But then my big thing is that I'm studying the crowd. If I'm seeing that people aren't really dancing, I'm like, okay, I need to switch up the vibe. Like, I've played gigs where I walk in and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of in the mood to play Afro beats tonight. But it's a very white space and they don't really like, nobody is really listening to Asha K like that. Like, I can't be playing like Asha K deep cuts at a bar on Dundas Street West, you know, because that's not the clientele. So I'm like, okay, they're not really feeling it. They kind of want something a little bit more old school, a little bit more mainstream. I shift on to that, you know? So I think like that's why it's good to always have an idea of what you want to do and to prepare. And like, I saw a TikTok today that said that like a good DJ is someone where like if you're playing a song, they know at least 5 songs in their head that would blend perfectly with the song that's currently playing.
Yeah. I saw that quote. That's something to kind of take home with, where if there's a song, you know, like 5 other songs that can work with it, and that sort of like makes your mixing very divergent, like one song 5 songs, another one song 5 songs,
exactly. And like sometimes like there's some gigs where it's like, okay, if I'm playing like a very chill gig, if it's like a happy hour, no one's really there, like I take that as an opportunity to test out new songs that I've discovered and test out new edits and see how people react to it. And then when I'm doing the bigger gigs, I kind of make notes of which ones people really like. And that's because I've been making my own blends. And I think I've made like 15 over the past few months. And I've been testing them out at different gigs. And I'm like, okay, I want to publish like an edit pack. And I want it to only have 7 tracks. So I want to see like which ones people enjoy the most. And then go from there, yeah.
So you just take one like stems. You take like the vocals of a
Yeah.
song, mix it with
I've
another
been
instrumental.
Yeah, so I've been experimenting with Serato stems a lot. I eventually do want to experiment with Serato Studio.
Okay.
And I do want to I never thought that I would get into music production, but I think that is something that I do want to do at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You probably built your ear for what makes a good music because you've seen good music at play, at events, how people react, and then you're also seeing the waveform, you're seeing how the music is structured, and you're like, okay, maybe I can do this.
And like music makes you feel something. Like there's certain keys that are associated with different emotions, certain tempos that are associated with different emotions, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like...
Teach us something.
I mean, I don't know what keys exactly, but I know that like when I'm listening to something like a little bit more slow tempo, like when I'm listening to like Alina Barez, for example, like she has a very soft voice, like her music's very low tempo, like it's very calming, you know? But when I'm listening to drill, it's usually when I want to fight. But or like, yeah, like if I'm going to the gym, like I usually listen to like rap or like drill or grime or like very like up tempo, like old school Afro beats because the BPM is like super high.
Okay.
If I'm working, for instance, or just like doing a very mundane task where I really need to focus on the task, like I will listen to like Private School Amapiano.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like repetitive. Yeah.
I see. You've spoken about, you know, how you create your own events. Can you tell us some, not some, maybe like all? I've been to some,
There's
but tell
a
us,
lot.
tell us all the events you've created and what you've learned from it. How there's so many questions in this question, but I would sort of like remind you. But the events you've created, how it came about, how the idea came about, how you probably promoted the event, what was like the turnouts, what did you learn? But you know, let's start from the events.
Because the thing is, I do run two separate collectives. I'll start with Where People Stay At. So Where People Stay At, actually the way both Where People Stay At and Control the Wave kind of came together was I was just thinking out loud on social media. And for Where People Stay At, I think I was just saying that like, oh, like things were starting to open up again. People were starting to go outside because this was, you know, 2022, 2023, where everybody was just longing for like community and events and things like that. And I was just longing for like a party that felt like a pre-COVID party, like summer 2019, summer 2018 type vibes. And so Rika had DM'd me on Instagram and we had just met up at a cafe and bounced ideas off of each other. And that led to Where People Stay At. And then it happened very organically. Like we were looking at different venues. We landed the Drake Underground. We felt like at the time they aligned with our ideals and our budget the most. And the first DJ we wanted to book, like we knew we wanted it to be a Black woman. So we had booked Angel. And, you know, she had come, done her thing. The first event, it did sell out. We had a very, very, very good turnout. And then in terms of marketing, because it was kind of like our first one, we did pay attention to the marketing, but we weren't as intentional with the flyer as we are like now. Like we have our own logo, like our friend Kaz, like Erika's partner Kaz, like he made like the logo and the VFX, and like now like we plaster that onto every event so people know that, oh, okay, this is Where People Stay At event, you know. And then now Rika does all our posters. She kind of maintains a similar color scheme, similar and she's very intentional. Like even like the poster that we did for the community hub, I really like it because it's like cartoon like caricatures, they're all hugging. And I was like, oh, that's very cute. Like I see what you did there, you know, and the colors are very warm and inviting. And even when I'm talking to her about our marketing, she's like, yeah, like I want, you know, the colors to like feel warm, feel inviting. This is the feeling we're trying to evoke. So we're a lot more,
you think of the feeling you want to evoke, incorporate that into your posters,
into like our posters, our visuals. So like when we do like the video, because for our parties we do video promotion, so for the day parties we usually snap different clips from different music videos, and we're like, okay, like this one feels like a nice, like this is the kind of vibe we're trying to curate, where it's like an early 2000s, like you're a day outside, it's a hot summer day, like everybody's outside, the girlies are looking cute, like everybody's dancing, ready to party, like things like that. We're trying to evoke that. This music video portrays that perfectly. We'll snap that. Oh, we really like this because this is like black people enjoying themselves in the sun. We like that. This is exactly the type of vibe that we're trying to curate, you know? And then we do like our marketing, like that's like a very big thing. And then when we go down to the music curation, we go back and we're like, okay, like what DJs have we seen or have we like listened to on SoundCloud? Who can we really pair? And who would complement us as a collective?
You always play at this event, your events, you always play all the time. Like
I mean, yeah, for the most part, for the more chill stuff. So for the one we're doing next Saturday, everybody should come. It's a fundraiser for Sudan. I'm not going to be playing at that one because we're doing open decks, which basically we want to open up the floor to different female DJs and kind of give them the opportunity to practice, learn, and also, you know, put people on as well.
Yeah.
But for our parties, yeah, Rika and I usually always play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. And what have you learned the most from organizing your events? What's, you know, one big thing you did not know before, but now you know now it was like the biggest overarching lesson you learned?
You gotta have thick skin for this shit, man. It is not easy. And also, like, you're gonna hear a lot of no's. You're gonna hear a lot of rejection, especially because, like, what we're building with Where People Stay and also what we're building with Control the Wave, it's very against the grain. It's very, like, yes, we want to leave, like, a landmark on Toronto culture, but in the end of the day, nightlife is a business, and we do have the business aspect of it in mind, but when you only focus on that, it takes away the authenticity and the intentionality and the joy
and the experience
and the experience as well. And I feel like when you really get into it and you just focus on the business, you will lose yourself in the process. So I think like the biggest takeaway is just constantly reminding myself and reminding the people I work with, like, yo, like, we shouldn't lose ourselves. And I always say this, I'm like, sometimes it's okay to put down the USB, you know, like, and I've also learned that burning yourself out is deadly. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. Like, after putting together my exhibit this past summer, that nearly killed me. And just like since then, like, my body has been suffering because of it, and I've just been trying to like be more low-key. And I think just like prioritizing your physical and mental health always, and gravitate towards people that align towards you.
Yeah. So good segue, your exhibit, good segue into photography. Tell us about photography, how you got into photography, what sort of inspired you to do so?
I mean, I always liked taking pictures since I was a kid. Like, we used to have like those little disposable cameras that I used to take to school and take photos of my friends. And then when digital cameras became the thing, you know, the ones that are back now, those small pocket digital cameras, I used to take those to school in middle school and high school and just take photos of my friends all the time. And create Facebook albums, create collages. Like, that was my thing. I always loved taking pictures of people to make memories. And then in 2018, a former friend handed me their old film camera. It was like a Pentax K100, and that's what kind of got me into film photography. And initially, when film was cheap, I would just buy a bunch of rolls and just take pictures of like people on the street, take photos of my friends. And then from there, what was really exciting about film is you never know how the pictures turn out. And with a manual camera, you have to manually adjust everything. So that really like got me to master the art of photography and also value every exposure and every frame, because you only get a limited amount of photos.
Yeah.
And then from there, once I mastered that, I started taking clients for, you know, portraits. I've done a little bit of editorial, but that is something that I really want to expand to. And then this past summer I did my first solo exhibit, which was a collection of photos that I've taken of friends, family members, and just people that I've met in my community the last 4 years.
Oh yeah. And for photography, you also, that's another bag for you.
Yeah.
You take photos of clients. How do you get clients? Are they just people that see your work? Because you don't post your photography as much
as my DJing. Yeah.
So how do they find your work? How do they get to see your work? What's like your pipeline for the clients that say, oh, we like this?
Yeah.
With me?
I mean, I did have a website. It is currently under reconstruction, but every photographer should have a website and not rely on social media, because you have seen, like, you know, like Instagram will suddenly shut down, or your account can get hacked and you could lose everything. So having your own website, which is your portfolio, is a very smart way to get clients. And also just marketing yourself and word of mouth. The way I've gotten my clients is I've messaged people, and I've messaged, you know, like different models, and I'd be like, hey, like, I'd really love to photograph you. I've messaged fashion brands, and I'd be like, hey, I'd really like to photograph on my campaign for your brand sometime. Because what's the worst they're gonna say? No, you know, it's important to shoot your shot always. So it's
you know, it's thick skin again.
It's
be ready to say, or be ready to get to know. Whenever. And
the it's discouraged me. Like, I remember, like, last summer we were looking for venues for different day parties, and it was just constant no's, or being hit with minimum spends that I knew that I couldn't afford because I'm still new. And like, for me, like, getting people to buy bottles is not the end all be all for me, you know. Like, that's not your job as a DJ in the end of the day, you know. Your job is to provide the music and to provide the vibes. And I had just felt very discouraged last summer, and I was ready to just give up. And I'm very, very happy that I didn't, especially when we're going back to DJing now on that front, because you know what landed us a residency at Ace Hotel. It landed me my solo exhibit. It landed me different campaigns with Nike, Adidas, you know. And it's you need thick skin, but you know, like, eventually someone is really gonna find your work and they're gonna fuck with you, and it just takes one person, honestly.
One thing I found that we like from you when we discuss is that you're not afraid to, you know, put yourself out there. You're not afraid to get that no. And we've kind of found that very, very useful for the kind of career that you're building, or the kind of multidisciplinary creative that you want to be. You have to be ready to get that no, ready to put yourself out there. I want to talk about, you know, Union Station. You recently had your work put on Union Station, and for everyone who doesn't know what Union Station is, Union Station is
it's the Grand Central Station of Toronto.
Yep, Grand Central Station. Well, I say like ground zero. Like, if you come to Toronto, that's probably where you would land if you come by train.
Even if if you take the Up Express from the airport, it lands you at Union Station. It lands you at Union.
I remember, like, I was coming from Calgary, went for a gig in Calgary, and then me and Debo used the Up Express to go to Union, and as we were coming out, the first thing that we saw was you, and I was like, oh shit. And I think I took the picture.
Yeah, you sent me the photo. I was like, I'm so happy I sent them that headshot.
Yeah, and so, you know, how did that come about? Where did you, first of all, there was a particular picture. It was a woman wearing a hijab, or scarf.
A tob, yeah. So it's like the Sudanese traditional garment.
Where did you take the photo?
So funny story, because this actually ties back to my exhibit. So basically, I'll give you guys a little bit of context. So in 2020, June 2020 per se, you know, it wasn't fun for Black people, you know, with the resurgence of Black Lives Matter, the death of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, et cetera, et cetera. We were seeing a lot of, you know, Black death on our timelines. And I kind of just wanted to remind people that we were more than our trauma. And initially what I wanted to do is I wanted to gather a bunch of my friends and and family members and community members in a studio and bring, you know, I tell them, you know, bring something that just makes you, like, that sparks joy for you, whether it be food, an outfit, an object, anything that just makes you feel like your element, you know. But obviously, pandemic, we couldn't do that. So I started going around the city and curating shoots with people individually. So this was a friend of mine. She had messaged me summer 2021, but again, because of lockdown and restrictions, we didn't really get to planning our shoot until the summer of 2022. And at the time, she was living in Regent Park. So we had met in her neighborhood and we were kind of just like walking around. I had brought on like a jalabiya for her to put on, which is basically like a traditional Sudanese dress. And we were just walking around and we were taking photos and we stumbled upon this Sudanese store. And we had walked in and it was just like aunties, you know, they were just kind of sipping their tea. They were selling, you know, Sudanese garments, incense, things like that. And they saw us and one of them walked up to us and they were like, oh, like, we want to style your friend. So, and I have the video till this day on my phone. She's styling my friend and she's like, oh yeah, like this color would look really nice on you. Do this pose, do that pose, da 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 da. And we were kind of directing my friend together. Oh, yeah. And that's how that particular photo came about. And then when I was in Qatar this past year, this collective called Make Room, they had done a call out for artists and they're doing another round of call out for artists right now. And the theme was Black Dreams and Aspirations. And for me, like when I took that photo was a part of a series of pictures I had taken of her that day. But when I looked at that photo specifically, it stood out to me because I was like, wow, like she looks so empowered. She looks so regal. And often like we don't see Muslim Black women look like that, you know, like the media kind of portrays us as dependent and we're suffering and we can never, you know, like find our way through, like we're not monarchs. And you know, like a lot of people don't know, but like Africans, like it's a monarchical society, it's not a patriarchal society, you know. And because I remember like even till this day when I was doing interviews on like the revolution in Sudan, like news reporters would ask me, they were like, oh, are you surprised that like it was a photo of a woman that you know, expose everyone to what's happening in Sudan? I was like, absolutely not. Sudanese women have been leaders of movements and revolutions since time. So that photo in particular reminded me of that. So when I saw the call out and it was Black Dreams and Aspirations, I went back to that photo and I was like, you know what? I think like right now Sudan is at the time it was entering its 7th month of war. And I was like, we need that reminder now more than ever. Like Sudan is already not really represented in the media. You even really see right now, no one really talks about what's going on in Sudan. It's labeled the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. And it's not getting the attention it deserves. And I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity to not only put Sudan out there and raise awareness, but do it in a way that also reminds people where, yes, we are going through this horrible thing. Yes, people are dying, but Sudanese people are resilient more than anything, and they will overcome. And so I had submitted that photo, and there were prompts. I don't recall what the prompts were exactly, but I had kind of reframed my responses around that, and they had chosen me, and they had loved it. And when I was doing the interviews, like they had me touch up on that, and it was very emotional, but it was also, I felt so proud.
Oh, when you mean touch up, like re-edit the photo?
No, not edit the photo, like touch up on that topic per se.
Okay.
The photo, they didn't touch the image. Like it's just I sent it as it is. They had to crop it a certain way, but they didn't really crop too much. And then, that was kind of how that came about. So if you see call outs, apply. You see that grant you want, apply.
Oh, yeah.
Because look at what happened.
Oh, yeah, sweet. And, you know, how does it, you know, it probably feels so great to have your work there. And from what I hear from you is that through many of the creative things you do, you always want to put out things that you believe in, things that you want to make awareness of through your work. And so which is good because you don't just want to do what you're doing, just DJ and
gig for the sake of gigging.
Yeah, you have to put out, you know, stuff that you believe in or stuff that you need people to pay attention to, because when you're doing all these creative endeavors, it's an avenue to show yourself. So if you don't show yourself, it's just empty. So
it's soulless.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I think no, that one was. I'm still, because it was that photo had been put up at Union from May to the end of August, and then the end of August was my solo exhibition, where I featured another photo from that photo shoot alongside with photos throughout that entire series from the last 4 years. So I think like those two moments kind of like coinciding was very, I'm still taking it in, honestly. It was very surreal. It was very emotional, you know, like there were points where I cried because I was just like, wow, like we're really, like Sudan is really up there at Union Station. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. You said you had an exhibit last week and you're burnt out from it.
It was last summer.
Oh, last summer.
No, the end of summer. So it was this past summer. So yeah, planning this exhibit because I did it with no grants and no governmental backing. It was purely based on like money out of my pocket, but also through crowdfunding and fundraising. So I called into community and like we raised I think like about $2,500, and that went into, you know, printing costs, studio costs. In terms of installations, it was me and my friends and the folks who worked at the studio the night before. And you know, it was just a lot of planning and a lot of coordination because I didn't want to make it free, you know. But yeah, just a lot of planning, a lot of coordination. It was very stressful, but it was very fulfilling as well because, you know, just seeing people, you know, witness your art and just like I felt very seen, and it's like I'm so happy. It was a love letter to the community, and I feel like everyone received it so well. Like I was so scared. I've been gatekeeping my photography for 4 years. Like I don't really post like that, and this was just like the affirmation I needed, where I was like, yeah, I need to stop gatekeeping my shit and really like put myself out there. Like the art I put out there matters.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's good. So you'll be giving us more photos soon.
Yeah, I mean, I am planning on turning it into a photo book, but that's going to be within the next like 5-6 years. I don't think I have it in me to plan another solo exhibit at the moment, but you know, it was definitely one of many. And in terms of like DJing, like I do want to go on tour. I'm planning hopefully inshallah, you know, summer 2025, fall 2025 would be like my first tour. And just getting like more brand campaigns and things like that, and hopefully we want to take control of the wave global as well. Like it's been expanding in Toronto, and we just want to, you know, give DJs a spotlight around the world, you know.
That's good. What I want to ask you two, you know, final questions, and it's the last one is like your starter kit for both of them, but you know, you've given some advices to upcoming creative. Is there any advice that you think it's any other advice that you would put out there for anyone looking to get into either photography or DJing?
I would say for anyone that just wants to get into any like creative field in general, like do what makes you feel like you, and don't like just give in to the trends, because trends die. And I feel like everybody is so unique in their own way. And I feel like if you just kind of give in to like certain trends, like, yeah, you could get famous and you could blow, but you know, it'll burn out very quickly. And slow and steady definitely wins the race. Like for me to get to the place that I am today, like I've been doing like event curation and things like that for 5 years, and I still have like a very, very, very long way to go. And there will be people who see you and value you and give you your flowers. So just like don't be discouraged, and just like be you always. And I think I'm very happy that I'm surrounded by people who encourage me to do that.
The burnout, do you think it's something very common with creative work? Because for creative work, I've seen where they said you're supposed to run fast or sprint, then rest hard, sprint again, rest hard. Like that's how creative people try to like structure their work. How do you structure your creative work? Now you said you're burnt out.
I'm very, because I be doing these periods where I just sprint and it's just go time. It's very damaging because I'm someone that has PCOS as well. And so like when I'm in very, very, very stressful environments and I'm not eating properly and I'm not taking care of my body, like it's very, very, very detrimental. So now I'm kind of like in a point where I don't want to just have these periods where I'm just sprinting and burning myself out. Like I don't want to spread myself out way too thin. Like there are periods that are going to be busier than others for sure, but I think time management is something that's very important, and not biting more than you can chew, and also just having a team is very important. Like I have done a lot as a creative, but honestly, like I wouldn't have been able to accomplish half the things I have accomplished if it wasn't A, for my support system, like having just really good family and friends around, and B, the people that I work with, because they help offload things when they feel very overwhelming. Like it's not a one-man show. And for me, like I can't believe I haven't said this yet, but like community and collaboration over competition. Always. Like I know we live in a capitalistic society, and especially like in a city like Toronto where like DJing is very, very, very competitive because our scene is quite small in comparison to other metropolitan cities. I think we would be a lot further as a city if we prioritize community and collaboration over competition and running all our DJs dry.
Yeah. Okay. What's your DJ starter kit, and what's your photography starter kit? What do you take along with you?
Okay, so for DJing, I usually have my USB. My USB and my headphones. And that little 1/4-inch thing, because some equipment is older than others. But if I'm bringing in like the equipment, I would also have like my controller and my laptop. So yeah, that would be the main things. I always have my lip gloss.
Sweet.
Always have your lip gloss, and always have water. Always stay hydrated, because it's long hours, and be sure to like stretch and eat well beforehand. Well, the same for photography as well. For photography, I would have my camera, my film, any additional lighting if needed, and then just like water. Make sure you eat well. I don't really have a DJ rider like that when I'm doing like bigger gigs. Because it's just, there's a lot of, I've gotten so used to just, rolling with the punches and just adjusting to whatever.
Any equipment you just...
Yeah, I'm just at this point, I'm like, as long as I can plug in the USB, I'm fine. Like, whatever happens, And then, I would say just, those are the main things. I don't really like think too much on the day of.
And that's cool. I find that you always have your handbag on.
Well, I mean, I need to put my keys somewhere, like my keys and ID need to go somewhere. So
why is that? Like, is it because you always do it? And for me, I thought it was a thing. I thought,
it is I like it because it's
ritual.
like, because it's like, I don't know, like I have a lot of important shit in my handbag. Like, for one, like, if I lose that handbag, that's a problem, because my keys for both my job and my apartment are in there. And right now, my ID is my passport. So, because I lost, like, my photo ID. So, I'm just like, ooh, I need to carry that purse with me on at all times. But also, it is, like, it's just... I don't know, like I like just having like a little purse on me. Like there's no reason behind it really. Like it's just I'm just a girl, like it's just girly things. I have been more conscious of like what I wear at gigs now. Like sometimes I'd be like really stylish. There are certain gigs where I'm like, okay, if I know I'm gonna walk into the space and be objectified, I purposely wear baggier clothing. Because I'm like, I don't want anybody to look at me or perceive me. But like sometimes in events where I'm like, I feel I'm like a lot more excited, and I'm like, okay, this feels wholesome, this feels welcome. I'd like be very, very, very intentional with how I dress. And then photography, I dress as comfortably as possible because it's a workout to get those angles. Like I would sometimes be like lying and like not even fully like lying on the floor, and it's like just using my core to like take photos. And
I see. Oh, that's good. Thank you so much for engaging us. And
I talk a lot, so sorry.
No, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I feel it was apt. It was proper. It was well structured.
I try.
Yeah. We've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening thus far, and it's a wrap.